Ben Shapiro testified before Congress in a hearing about censorship of conservative media and at one point was questioned by Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. Swalwell starts out by asking him basic policy questions, then moves into asking him about sin and his religious beliefs. Many are calling Swalwell stupid and wondering why he would ask these type of questions. But we need to be vigilant. This was strategic. Check this out, and then I'll tell you why and what Swalwell was trying to do here.
Mr. Shapiro, thank you for joining us today. I think it is important that you're here as one of the leading conservative voices in the country. And the country has, in the last couple weeks, talked a lot about and Googled Project 2025. It's one of the most Googled search terms right now. And you're not going to get any censorship from me. So I just wanted to know, from your perspective, I think it would help us understand, on just like a scale of 0 to 100%, how much do you support Project 2025?
I think, like President Trump, I haven't looked all that deeply at Project 2025, but it seems that Democrats on this committee, sort of like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, if they say Project 2025 enough, their presidential candidate becomes alive again.
And so, well, let's just talk about pieces of it, and I guess you can tell me if you support it. You probably want less bureaucracy, right?
I do.
I want less bureaucracy. You want more efficiency.
I do.
I want more efficiency. You want taxpayer money spent wisely.
I do. Congrats on becoming a Republican.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents would be proud. Mass deportations, it calls for that. Do you support that part?
I support the deportation of any illegal immigrant who's in the United States who is not of benefit to the generalized American public.
So if they're picking agriculture that puts food on the tables of everyday Americans, they've never committed a crime inside the United States, they didn't come across with documents, should they be deported?
If they have not paid taxes and if their draw on the taxpayer benefits are larger than the contribution they are making to the economy, or if they're involved in criminal activity, they should be deported.
How do we measure that?
The same way that the IRS measures my income every year. It seems like if the IRS can track down every aspect of every receipt that I've ever submitted, and they can do so for hundreds of millions of other Americans, they can do that for illegal immigrants as well, except for the fact that no one knows how many are in the country thanks to this administration.
So you would be cool with creating a system where they could pay those taxes if they wanted to and then stay and work and put food on our table?
It depends on how long it would take for them to pay the taxes, and they would also have to go presumably to the back of the line, although I'm not sure why I'm testifying about immigration policy at this point.
How about banning the abortion pill? That's part of Project 2025. Do you support that part?
I think that that's a state-by-state issue on a personal level.
I'm just asking you.
Sure, I'm a fully pro-life person, which means that I'm not in favor of the distribution of the abortion pill.
Banning same-sex marriage, what about that part?
I am in favor of traditional marriage between a man and a woman, and I am perfectly fine with anyone having any sort of voluntary sexual arrangement they seek. That's a different thing from whether the government should attach benefits to that personal relationship.
But you think it's a sin to have same-sex marriage?
I mean, I'm confused. Are you asking me as a religious Jew what I think about biblically?
I'm just asking, is it a sin to be gay?
Is it a sin to be gay? I mean, how long do we have here? 2 minutes? I mean, if the basic idea is that sexual orientation is up for government regulation, I'm not in favor of the government regulating the private consenting sexual activity of adults. That is a different thing, once again, from whether the government ought to engage in actual benefits for particular sexual arrangements that adults make.
But again, just you to me, is it a sin or not?
From a religious Jewish perspective, orientation is not a sin, but activity is. That's also the same perspective of most major religions, so far as I'm aware.
Because we found some receipts. You did say, I think homosexual activity is a sin.
Yes, I'm a religious Jew, that's
true.
true.
There's a genetic component.
You found me out.
Orientation. But the view of all religious people I know has always been that sexual behavior is something that is up to you. And you said, I may have a desire to sleep with many women, but I do not.
I agree with me. Yes, that's true.
Congratulations on your,
It's important to know that at this hearing were also individuals and organizations who are responsible for flagging hate speech online, advertisers of media companies, and government officials who are responsible for censorship policy. What Swalwell is trying to do here is get Ben Shapiro to share his religious views and portray him as extreme to justify censoring him. By getting Shapiro to admit that he believes marriage is only between a man and a woman, or that he believes there are only two genders, man and woman, Swalwell is really trying to make the case that one with religious beliefs, like Shapiro, are bigots spreading hate speech that deserve to be censored, demonetized, silenced, unheard of. Your first thought was probably, why would Swalwell be asking these types of questions at a congressional hearing? That's why. And it's dangerous because what it reveals is that there are individuals in government that believe if you speak out against their agenda and ideology, then you lose your right to free speech. They have anointed themselves the deciders of what is acceptable speech and what are acceptable values and beliefs. I thought that Ben did a really good job, but this is malevolent, authoritarian behavior from Swalwell. The sad and alarming part is, guys like this get elected because half our country believes that this kind of censorship is justified.